Welcome back, one and all. We're here for round 13 at the Suzuka Circuit in Japan for RLH Season 6 C3. And it's a track that not too good at, if I'm honest. Did absolutely no running in the wet at all, which you see will compromise us a lot later. But also in the dry, not very handy as well. As you see, this is actually our first lap was our best lap. Just couldn't find any improvements, and it wasn't even that quick a lap. You see, I was sort of hoping it was going to be sort of a banker lap. See, we sort of had some fuel for another run, so it wasn't an ideal scenario for us at all, and it did put us provisional pole. But of course, we did end up dropping down the field significantly into P11. We just started the formation lap here. You see, it is intermediate conditions, so this formation lap was the first chance I had to get a feel for the track in a wet circumstances, and it was inters to the end. So we're going to have lots of fun. You see, we have the lights are up now, ready for the start. No back here at all. 5 round lights, and it's lights out, and away we go for this Japanese race here in the intermediate conditions. And you see already we've got the Renault Brent coming to our left. We cut to on our right, so we're going to go round the outside into turn 1. See, Riker's pulled to the side there, and we sort of get forced off there. Now as we come into turn 2, we've got the Mercedes on our inside. We're going to try and hold him out now, and we should now as we follow into single file now. Look at the field. Look, another Williams has gone off. We're going to try and go up the inside of Riker. Very opportunistic there as his teammate crashed out, but not being able to find the gap. And now we have to slot back into the single file order as we now climb out of the S's, up Dunlop and up the hill towards the end of the first sector. You see, we are not that confident under throttle, and the Mercedes of Nika is just behind us. See, up in front, they are battling away for P8. Looks like Bruma holds that position now, and I think there's a car just gone off in P7, so that could close the group up significantly now as we climb up towards the hairpin. Being quite tentative under braking, make sure we don't go into the back of someone and cause an almighty pilot. See, Bruma's got a little tap there from Brent and loses the back end slightly now as we run now through 200R towards Spoon Curve, and it looks like Riker's gone off, so they're losing momentum now as they're almost side by side. There's no way for me past at all. Have to hang back on this occasion as we go into Spoon Curve, I should say. Riker's on very wide, so we're going to go up his inside. Good little, another opportunistic move here as we somehow have okay pace at the start of this race. And see, we're right behind Bruma now as we run towards 130R. We're going to flick to the outside, just about find the gap and run around his outside. Lovely stuff. Good move for P9. I don't know how, but we somehow are not particularly slow as things stand, but that could all change as we see now. We're in P9, holding on with the Alpha behind us. Important for the constructors to keep him behind, but he's got a great run out of the second deck and under the bridge. We're going to give it the room on the outside, and he can try and go clean around our outside. We're going to just about hold it off on the inside, and I think get slightly better traction, but he's right there on the inside now as we run through 200R towards Spoon Curve. He's still there on our outside. Can we hold the position down the inside? We're going to try and dive down the inside and try and hold the position. We get the move done initially, but he's right back up our inside now to regain the place. Good switchback move from the Alpha, but we're going to be in the slipstream. Put it up in a hot lap now as we're trying to regain the position here. As we flick to the outside, again, trying to do a repeated move of what we did last time around. As we go through 130R, see, we've just run a bit too wide, have to get out the throttle, and he's going to come diving down our outside to regain a position. And see, Riker's going to follow him in the Williams, so we're going to try and hold it round the outside as we come to the exit of the chicane, side by side as we run down the hill, but he's got a better run than us, and we're going to have to slot in behind him. Now we've got the Mercedes trying to join in a battle away, but we're going to be in the slipstream of the Williams to keep ahead now. As we we're going to cut to the inside, we've got good pace down the straight, go down to the inside, we're going to hold the inside, but he swoops around our outside, carrying the momentum and the speed, and he keeps P10 on lap 3 as we now move in a single file on the S's. And you see we've moved on only a couple of corners more as we go into the second deck, and we've gone miles wide. See, we've got one Mercedes pass, 2 Mercedes pass, and looks like Phil McConaughey in the McLaren wants to come past 2, and he's going to go clean around my outside here. Good pace from Phil starting at the back, and now we've got the Racing Point just behind us as we move on. But as we come to the end of lap 3, so again, only corners up the road, we've got the Racing Point right on the back of us. See, we're falling down the field. See, everyone has got much better pace than we do in the intermediate conditions. No confidence at all, and he's looking to our inside here. We're going to try and maybe hold it around the outside. We have done that, but a little squirt of throttle for him. Mid-corner, gets in the position as he barges his way through, but barges barely, of course, now. Move on again, just later in that lap, and Lurch seems to have had a slight issue, and he's dropped back, and now him and John are side by side, the McLaren and the Racing Point, trying to find a way through, but again, side by side through here means there is no way for me, so I just have to hang back and potentially pick up some of the pieces of this little puzzle. And we'll see as we go through Spoon. John's making a move up the inside, and that's going to compromise Lurch. So we're going to be right onto the back of the McLaren, staying right to that Husky Chocolate rear wing. And now as we put it up into hot lap, trying to make something happen in the run towards 130R and then into the chicane. Our teammate out front. So we are definitely not helping out in the constructors as things stand. But Lurch has got a bit compromised through there. We're looking to the outside here, and he's just going to give us the room. But he goes through me and keeps the position as things stand. And we've now got the Haas up our inside, and he's got the move on the exit as McLaren pulls off into the pit lane now. We're going to try and defend from the Haas towards turn 1. Try and regain that position that we lost. We're into hot lap, and we could be looking to try and send it up the inside here into turn 1. But we're not going to quite have the speed, and he keeps the position around the outside. Didn't want to go too deep on the brakes and cause a crash, especially as we were already at the back. And you see now we just move on to later into lap 7. We're improving on this lap as the Haas runs a little bit wide and swipes across the track. But we'll see we dived out into the chicane now. He goes a little bit too deep, and we're going to try and get the switch back here. And it seems we've got it absolutely perfect. As we go round his outside, he's going to squeeze us a little bit onto the grass. We have to back out of it a tiny bit. Didn't want to risk spinning on the wet intermediate conditions. And you see his teammate now. So we're in a Haas sandwich, is only a second and a bit behind now, as we have to tuck in behind Dave into turn 1. And now as we move on again, just like corners later in lap 8, we're right on the back of the Haas. His teammate My Cat has joined in for this little battle too. We're right behind that Jack and Jones rear wing. We're looking to the inside this time, mixing it up and going down the inside. So we've already got the position done as we come towards 130R, but a compromised line through there again puts us out onto the runoff, a little bit on the grass as well. And he's going to dive down my outside, but we're just going to about hold the position. But he's still there. He's managed to cleanly go around my outside. He gets the inside for the second part of the chicane now, and his teammate is going clean around my outside as well, as we've got a compromised exit as the Racing Point comes into the pit lane. As we're now battling away with the second of the Haas cars. And can we keep the position down into turn 1? Who's going to dare late on the brakes? And we just about this time and keep it nice and tight to the inside to hold the line, hold the high ground into turn 1. And only 9 laps into this race. And we're still 9 laps into this race as we're onto the back of the Haas again. We're closing and closing towards 130R, but just back out of it this time around. Think better of it and maybe try and look to make a move into the chicane. Will be the cars attacking this time around. And again, he looks like gone a little bit too deep. We're going to try and get a really tight line. And this time, we're going to get a brilliant exit and get clean ahead of him now before we even get to the line. And we are now clear of the two Haas's who are going side by side as they run down towards turn 1. But I think we're going to keep the position as he's a little bit too far back to make a move now. And you see, we started to try our best to pull away from the Haas's. That really was where our fight was today. They came to pit lane and I decided to extend my stint length just a bit, try and make the overcut work, as I was sort of getting used to this tyre at this phase of the race and starting to find personal best after personal best. So I thought it was worth staying out, just trying to extend the stint while I was in some clean air. And you see, this time around, we're up in the P6 where we pull into the pits on lap 14, making sure we get down to the speed limit of 80 kilometres per hour. And now into the pits. So I think we've got the other Haas coming into the pits now. And we slightly mess up selecting the gear, but luckily we just do it in time to get out before the Haas comes into the pit lane. So we're currently in P11. And whereabouts we're going to filter out. So we've got a Mercedes and a McLaren running down the pit straight. Where are we going to jump out in front of them? I think we're just going to slot out behind the McLaren, which we were just before the pit stop phase. And you see now as we did our best to catch up to the McLaren in front. Lovely cinematic shot. I see we're now up to the back of Lurch. It'll be our second battle with him into lap 19 now. So really moved on from earlier. Did a lot of on my own racing there. And you see we're now looking to the outside of the McLaren onto the grass a little bit. And we're going to run wide and lose all the time we gained on the McLaren as we now come into the chicane and went a little bit deep on the brakes, made a bit of debris on the tyres as he pulls into the pits this time around. And now you see we're into P11, I think, after somebody came into the pits, and it was Brent in the Renault who pitted, I think, had some damage. And you see he was constantly really taking a lot of time out of me at this phase. Fresh tyres, of course, but I think he just had a lot more confidence and better space than me. And I was doing my absolute best to stay ahead. But you see, as we come on to the final lap, when we start the final lap of the race, he is going to be right behind us. He's going to have the speed, the slipstream, and I think even DRS. I feel like DRS was enabled at this point in the race. And he's going to try and go around our outside. We go way too deep, close him off completely, and let him sort of gave up the position there because he had so much better speed. Didn't want to hold us both up and lose even more time. And he was just going to get me later on in the lap anyway. And so we come to the final corner. It was an almighty battle for P12. No points, unfortunately, this time around. My first non-points finish in RLH. But a good learning experience nonetheless. And you see, P12, not bad. You see, if we flick to this, my fastest lap was actually very similar to the guys at the front. So I think at my best, I had good pace, but no consistency at all. Anyway, see you on Sunday. We've got the SFR reserve leave, and I'll see you next Tuesday for RLH at Brazil.